County Supervisor from San Joaquin County, Robert Rickman. He has agreed to give us the honors to give the oath of office to our 4 new members. And Supervisor from Alameda County, David Harbert, will be doing the swearing in of our County Supervisor, Robert Rickman. That's a mouthful. So welcome, everybody. And Supervisor Rickman, would you mind taking it from here?
Yeah, I'll stand up here so how we can do this. All right, so the new board members, if you could just state your name when I ask. Yeah, I state your name.
I state your name.
I, David Halbert,
Do solemnly swear or affirm
Do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support and defend
that I will support and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the Constitution of the United States
to the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California,
and the Constitution of the State of California.
that I take this obligation freely
I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
without any mental reservation
or
or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully discharge
and that I will well and faithfully discharge
the duties upon which I'm about to enter.
the duties upon which I am about to enter.
enter.
Well, congratulations. Now the work begins, right?
Robert, were you trying to do a threesome in there? Because as it was, there was enough stereo that I figured. I mean, if you want, I'll just go ahead and do it. But again, if you need it, I already did it, I think.
Chair,
We do need it, David. It's
No problem. I, Dave Hudson, do solemnly swear to support and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California, that I take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties upon which I'm about to enter.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you. With that said, now we'll pass that honor to our County Supervisor from Alameda County, David Harbert. Would you mind, David, giving the oath of office to the County Supervisor in San Joaquin, Mr. Robert Rickman?
I would be honored. Repeat after me, sir. I state your name.
I, Robert Rickman,
Do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the Constitution of the United States
to the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California,
and the Constitution of the State of California.
that I take this obligation freely
I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties upon which I am about to enter.
and I will well and faithfully discharge the duties in which I'm about to enter.
Congratulations, sir. You're part of the team now.
Thank you, sir.
Well, welcome
Very well.
everybody. I'm gonna take a moment to give you guys a welcoming, a few remarks from your new chair. Before we start the meeting, I thought that it would be nice to hear a little of what we're gonna be doing this year. And I just want to say how honored I am to have the opportunity to be in this role of leadership of this project and take a few moments to reflect on the year ahead. Many of you know, I have worked tireless on this project from its beginnings, and like many others, they continue to serve in this board. And we all recognize how critical this project is, and we understand the need from our constituency. I am delighted to welcome all new members and join and welcome to join this very important project. The task is of a tall order and has some difficulties. So, but I'm trusting that all of you are up to par. As many of the all directors know, this is a working group, and
Wow.
we have it actually has brought us closer together and in our relationships. This pandemic has not helped a lot, and it has disappropriated some of the residents and the needs, and it has not advanced a lot of the communities, and the hardship continues. And and of course, our service workers like nurses, teachers, and first responders do not have the luxury like some of us to work from home. The need of Valley Link is more obvious now than ever. People are still suffering, and it is vital that we support this interconnection and will help the economy of this mega regional in Northern California, of course, both the Bay Area and the San Joaquin County. Our project promotes equity by serving our communities with the highest need. Will create jobs and help our local economy to recover a little faster. I'm a total believer, and some of you guys know from our study that shows the impact that our project could have in our area. We'll also reduce greenhouse gases emissions, and the impact to the environment will be critical to help everybody. Sorry about that. I need to quiet my phone. Those are all key priorities that we have identified for this project, and it has been supported and identified as well by the federal, state, and regional leaders. We face an uncertainty in this year ahead, and as we recover from the pandemic, we're starting to begin to roll out our mission and our project. And as your new chair, I am committed to make sure that this project and our board is ready for the year ahead. And that is my commitment to all of you guys, to just be ready, join on the spot to make sure that we can move our project forward. Today, as we welcome the new members, we are also getting an update on the status of our efforts to complete the environmental clearance, consider the adoption of the advocacy program to support our project goals, and the Title VI of the policy statement to support the commitment to equity. I look forward to working with all of you on this year ahead, and to keep Valley Link and the trajectory to the finish line. With that said, I am excited to work with all of you and continue to working with some of my old colleagues. And with that, could we have a roll call of the members, please?
Director Akinjo.
Here, man.
Director Cantu.
Here.
Director Horbert.
Here.
Director Hernandez.
Here.
Director Hudson. Director Hudson.
Still here, even with mute off.
Okay. Director Joe Brock. Director Kick.
Here.
Director King Tingle.
She was there.
She was, yes. Director McPartland. I know he had some problems logging on. Okay.
There's John.
Yeah,
Direct-
can
Director
you-
McPartland.
Yes, I'm here.
Director Neram.
Here.
Director Rickman.
Yeah.
Director Stepper.
Here.
Chair Vargas.
Here.
Director Warner.
Here.
Director Zuba.
Here.
And Director King Tingle.
We'll log in when she comes
I think
back.
she has us. Yes. Okay. You do have a quorum.
Thank you. I want to acknowledge everybody that we have the honor of having the presence of the current MTC chairperson with us. And as many as you guys know, our formal chairperson from this group, I wanted to acknowledge Scott Haggerty's attendance to this meeting and appreciate him taking the moment to join us on this meeting. I'm glad that he's able to continue to keep tabs on us and engage on our project. So hi, Scott. I don't know if you can hear me, but I see your name up there. So welcome. And I believe Bernice just joined us back in.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I can hear you. I'd just like to say you can take the boy out of Valley Link, but you can't take Valley. I'll be sticking around and I look at all the great friends that has pushed so hard to get Valley Link to where it is today. I'm so very proud of the work that you've done, and to the new people that are just arriving, all faces that I know and that I know have worked very hard in the political realm to get things done. So I'm sure Valley Link is in great hands. I can tell you, I plan on keeping an eye on you and whenever necessary, doing whatever I can to help you. And that even includes that MTC for the next 2 weeks, I guess.
We appreciate that. Your support is tremendous to us, and we all welcome, and you can see why everybody is excited to have you in our meeting. So thank you, Scott, for taking the time. Bernice is saying hi.
Hi there. I'm unmuted now. I'm
Hello,
here.
Bernice. I miss you especially.
Oh.
You don't miss me?
He misses you too.
Not at all.
He has a big heart. He misses us all.
He does. He sure does. So with that,
Scott?
painful. With that said, I will move to agenda item number 3, which is an introduction of the new board members and the election of the new vice chair of this board. This is an action item, and I wanted to open it up with a nomination, and everybody can nominate somebody else. But this person that I'm looking to nominate for the vice chair is a person that's been working on this group pretty much since the inception, and she is very involved, and I think it will represent her area very well. My nomination for vice chair goes to Melissa Hernandez, our brand new mayor of the city of Dublin. And with that, I'll leave it for discussion of the board.
Second.
Who was that? Oh, thank you,
Albert.
Supervisor Harbour. With that, I'll open for discussion and for introduction of the new board members. I would like to hear from everybody a little bit, even if it's, 2 minutes. Could we start with our Supervisor Rickman? Sorry, Bob, I put you in the spot.
Yeah, no, thank you, Chair. I'm Supervisor Rickman, or Robert Rickman, former Mayor of Tracy, was involved in Tracy government or city council since 2010, and just got elected to the 5th district, the supervisor, and that encompasses River Islands, all of Tracy, Mountain House, and half of Manteca. So thank you for being here. I know I've been involved in Valley Link for a while now, and being a member of San Joaquin County Council of Governments as mayor, and I'm currently in that position once again. So that board is very important to Valley Link and getting things pushed forward. And look forward to pushing this and hopefully making this a reality sooner than later.
Thank you, Supervisor. Supervisor Harbert, would you like to introduce yourself? David? All right.
Yes, hi, I'm sorry, I'm having technical difficulties as well, but I'm back, I'm here. I apologize. David Halbert, the newly elected Alameda County Supervisor, District 1. My predecessor, as needs no introduction, we all talked to Scott earlier, and happy to have his support, proud and glad to have his support. But prior to being elected supervisor, though, I actually was a member of the JPA that spawned the Valley Link project, as I was the mayor of the city of Dublin for the last 6 years. Prior to that, council member and school board trustee for 10 years. So no stranger to local government, but a big piece of my heart goes to Valley Link. I have pledged and will continue to promise to carry forward the keep the ball rolling that Supervisor Haggerty started, and seeing it through to completion sometime in my lifetime. How's that?
That sounds great.
All right.
With that, it's not new board member, but new on his position. I wanted to ask Bob Warner if he would like to say a few words as mayor of Livermore.
Oh, well, thank you. I've enjoyed the past time on Valley Link and looking forward to helping carry it forward. And also want to see it completed in my lifetime. That's a little bit sooner than David's. But anyway, so I've enjoyed it. I've been on the city council in Livermore for 9 years, and now just got elected mayor. Looking forward to that. And we've got a good council, and looking forward to working with all the new members on the council and the new members on Valley Link. So thank you.
Thank you, Bob. And with that, brand new member, Brittany Kicks. Hi, Brittany. She's joined us from LAFTA. Glad to have you here. Would you like to say a few words?
I'm here from LAFTA and also a city council member of Livermore. I'm really excited to be a part of this project. I would like this project to be done while my kids still think trains are cool. They are 6 and 3. So we have some time before the 3-year-old thinks trains aren't cool anymore, or maybe luckily, hopefully he'll think trains are cool forever. So I'm really excited to be a part of this because I will really get to shape the community that my children grow up in. So I am happy to be part of the project and happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Of course. Thank you and welcome everybody. Now, is any discussion for the motion on the floor?
I move that we nomination.
So I see Brittany, we'll go, Bob and John will go after that with you and Bernice.
I was just going to say that I think Melissa's a great choice.
Oh, thank you.
I think that she's a good choice, and I would like to close nomination.
Thank you. Bernice?
Oh, before you close the nomination, I would just like to echo what's been said so far. I think Melissa is an excellent choice for co-chair.
Wonderful. Anybody else?
Yeah, I think she's an excellent choice, and I really like the fact, in addition to who she is, but she's also from Dublin. So I think that's great.
This is really embarrassing. I got to call you back. Sorry.
So I hope you heard what I said with, but anyway, both personally and positionally, I think Melissa is great for this opportunity.
Wonderful.
Thank you, Mayor. And with that, oh, Karen, go ahead.
Just like to add, I think it's great too that Melissa's in the center of this area that's so large, or we hope it is. It's going to draw from writers from a large area because it's really critical since Danville's not going to have a train down the middle of the town, that we are able to take advantage of all the things for our writers and explain to them this project. So I think that, you know, Dublin's uniquely located for that, and you'll do a great job, Melissa. We're especially interested in watching the change of the remote workers and how it's going to jumble what's happening in this project. And all of us are sitting there thinking, what is our next feedback going to be? And probably hear some of it today, but I know you'll do well, Melissa. Thank you.
Thank you.
And Paul, do you have your hand up?
Oh, yeah. Oh, I almost forgot. Yeah, I think the mayor is an excellent choice, even though there's no beach close by, but she's going to be a good vice chair for Valley Link. Thank you. But does he accept though? That's the question. Does the mayor wants to serve vice mayor?
I hope she accepts. I'll let her, you know, take the floor next.
Okay. Welcome, Mayor Melissa. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. You know, you always have to count on Paul to give his input on his positiveness. But no, I want to say thank you, and I look forward to being your vice chair and sitting side by side. Obviously, Zoom with a great chair to be Veronica Vargas, and you know, a little sad that it's not Supervisor Scott Haggerty, but I know that he'll always be there to answer my phone calls. But, you know, also just wanted to let you know that I am currently on the commission for the San Joaquin Regional Rail Commission. So I think it's important to understand that, and having it to be great to have an implementation, to see the rail being implemented in all these different ways and fashions. So working together on that committee, and then also working on this one, and how they'll intertwine eventually, and just wanting to do great things regionally. And I will always remember Supervisor Scott Haggerty saying that he wants to make sure that our residents, not only in Alameda County, but in San Joaquin County, have a great quality of life. Not being on a highway for 2 or 3 hours to get to work is not a good quality of life.
So
I
true.
accept, and thank you so much.
Thank you for accepting. With that said, could we call the question?
Roll call.
Akinjo,
Call for the vote.
Yes, ma'am.
Cantu,
Yes.
Hobart,
Yes.
Hernandez, well, not Hernandez, sorry, Hudson,
Yes.
Joe Brock is not here, Kick,
Yes.
King Tingle,
Yes, absolutely.
McPartland,
Yes.
Neeram, Neeram. She's saying yes, but you're muted.
Yes.
Rickman, thank you.
Yes.
Stepper,
Yes.
Vargas,
Yes.
Warner,
Yes.
Zuba. Zuba.
Yes.
Okay, motion passes.
Thank you. Thank you. With that, we will move to public comments. And this is the time for the public to make comments on items not in the agenda. Do we have any public comments?
We do not have anyone with their hands up.
We have one.
There's one.
We have
hand.
one.
And I cannot see who it is, but
Lily Mae of Fremont.
Hi, how are all of you? This is Lily Mae from the city of Fremont. I just want to say congratulations to Vice Chair Hernandez, and then also I look much forward to working with all of you as one of the San Joaquin Regional Rail Commissioners. And I know this project is near and dear to many of my past fellow mayors, and also certainly to all of you, and look forward to the continued partnership as we move forward.
Thank you, Mayor Lily May. I appreciate you joining us, and your comments are very welcome. It looks like anybody else? Any other? All right, without no further comments, we'll close the public comments period and go to item 5, consent item.
I'd be happy to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second it.
Perfect. With that, roll call.
Akinjo,
Yes, ma'am.
Cantu,
Yes.
Hobart,
Yes.
Hernandez,
Yes.
Hudson,
Yes.
Kick,
Yes.
Tingle,
Yes.
McPartland,
I having problems still.
Rickman,
Yes.
Stepper,
Yes.
Vargas,
Yes.
Warner,
Yes.
Zuba.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank
It
you.
seems that Director McPartland has been kicked off, so I'm going to try to help him get back on.
Thank you, Candace. We'll move to item number 6, Executive Director's Report, and that is, Michael Tree, where are you?
I'm here. Everybody hear me okay?
You're kind of far.
Am I?
Yeah,
Is that any better?
a little bit better.
Okay. I'll speak loudly. Well, good afternoon. It's good to see everyone again. I do have a couple of slides that I'll show, so I'll take just a couple of seconds and share some slides. All right. So hoping that So hopefully everyone can see the slide deck. I certainly wanted to welcome everyone that's new to the board, and it's it's good to be with you today to talk about some policy level decisions that are on your agenda today. But I just wanted to start out by saying I want to see Valley Link done and up and running before I retire, and that's probably even a shorter time span than what has been mentioned so far.
I don't believe that for a minute, but go ahead.
I mean, I'm looking at the light at the end of the tunnel in my career, so I'm hoping to get this thing done quickly. I did want to make mention of a couple of things. First and foremost, we had the public comment period for the draft EIR for the Valley Link project. It was opened on December 2nd of 2020, and we had several workshops where we talked to the public about the EIR and the process. We received 42 different comment letters. You see on the slide where those comments came from, but just as some added information, the topics on the comments that we received ranged from ridership to cost effectiveness to biological resources to station access to impacts on BART and RTD, the regional transit operator in San Joaquin County, to air quality mitigations, to impacts on properties. So a wide variety of comments. And so staff's currently working behind the scenes diligently to answer the comments and to make any changes to the EIR. And then we anticipate at the latest bringing to you the EIR for your consideration to certify it and to adopt the project in May. And so that's kind of the timeline that we're working with. I think it was a good comment period, and staff's working hard behind the scenes. So it's basically the majority of our time is being spent addressing those comments. Quickly, we did create a new Valley Link fact sheet, which we put online on the authority's website. So it's easy access if you'd like to print off a 2-page fact sheet on the project. and share it either at a meeting or share it with another individual or group that you might be working with. I do want to mention that AB 758, currently we're working with newly elected state senator Susan Eggman up in Sacramento to introduce some amendments to the legislation. Basically, the amendments are along the lines of project delivery. And you'll recall that as we talked about project delivery and made some policy level decisions during the feasibility report, we discussed delivery methods such as design build. And in fact, for at least a portion of the project, your policy direction was to implement design build. So that tool is being added to AB 758 as well as a few others. We're expecting that those amendments would be introduced this month up in Sacramento. So I'll keep you posted as we move along in regard to AB 758. We also have been working with the 3 congressmen who have their areas within the Valley Link project area, and working with them on a variety of funding requests, 3 to be specific, which will be helpful for them as they're looking for opportunities as stimulus infrastructure funding is being discussed to help the Valley Link project move forward funding wise. We're also working quickly behind the scenes, getting ready for NEPA. As you'll recall, the board's direction, as soon as we conclude CEQA, the current process with the EIR, that we'll jump right into NEPA. We're working with FTA to be the federal agency that will sponsor the project. I would characterize our discussions with them as very promising and moving forward. And we're also working with them on an application to be a full FTA grantee, so that as we apply for grants moving forward that are from the federal government, we will be an approved grantee and also be able to receive funds and expend funds. We'll talk a little bit more about that later in the on the agenda. Our legal counselor, Michael Conneran, will talk about that FTA grantee process. And then finally, some really good news. Yesterday, the California High-Speed Rail Authority came out with their revised draft of their 2020 business plan. We have not previously been in this business plan, although we have been in, although we are currently in the state rail plan. Yesterday, with their revised draft, Valley Link is in the plan, which is really important moving forward as we talk about key strategic partnerships. I've placed on the slide one of the comment on page 71 in regard to Valley Link in that business plan. So a lot of work went into working with high-speed rail to make sure that Valley Link was in their business plan, and certainly would want to thank Stacy Mortensen and Dan Levitt in working with our staff to make that happen. Finally, I have one other slide, I believe, here. Here's your current team that is representing Valley Link. So this doesn't include your GEC contract, which is WSP and PGH Wong, who are doing the civil and the design work for Valley Link. But I want to point something out. Rick Rattray, who's your program manager, is right smack in the middle of that chart and plays an extremely key role in moving the project forward. And also Bill O'Hare, he's your project manager over civil and structure. You'll see him right below Rick. We've been working with BART. These 2 individuals have come on to the Valley Link project full-time as seconded individuals. However, they'll be retiring from BART in the near future, and so they won't be seconded at that point. And we're working with legal to find the most appropriate way to keep them on the project. And so we'll have some discussion and some consideration at your next board meeting in regard to how to do that. It could range from bringing them on board as consultants, which would not be as advantageous to the FDA to have consultants managing consultants. And we'll also bring you a couple of other options, one of which could be the first employees of the Regional Rail Authority. So I wanted to make sure you knew that was coming up. A lot going on with the project right now. The EIR obviously is the most important, and the second most important perhaps is your 580 piece and working with Caltrans. That's on the critical path. So we're working really hard to work with Caltrans to make sure this project keeps moving along in regard to the 580 so that we minimize any delays. So that concludes the executive director's report. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have.
Thank you, Michael. Is any questions from any other board members? Nope, seeing none is we'll open for the public. If there's any comments from the public.
I have no hands raised.
No hands screen. I'll bring it back to the board. And this is not an action item, but it's an informational item. Thank you, Michael, so much for everything you're doing behind the scenes. I know that some of us don't know, but you're working day and night, literally, and even weekends. And of course, Marianne and your team, thank you all for keeping us on track, moving forward. Rick as well, Michael. We could not do any of this if it wasn't for you guys doing all the legwork and rolling your sleeves and working every day for this project. So my sincere appreciation to all of you. Thank you. With that, we'll move to item number 7, resolution of the Board of Directors of the Tri-Valley San Joaquin Valley Regional Railroad Authority adopting the policy titled Fixed Asset Policies and Procedures. This is an action item. Can we have a staff report?
Yeah, I'd be happy to. This is one of those items that is demonstrating that the board is working towards policy development at the agency for a well-run organization, and it's also symptomatic of the board working with policy that is also important to the FTA as you seek to become a future FTA grantee with this project. So this project in particular is in regard to fixed assets. We've defined them as assets that would have a life greater than 1 year and an acquisition cost equal to or greater than $5,000. Basically, the policy just directs staff to make sure that we're taking an inventory on a regular basis and being accountable for these fixed assets. So I'd be happy to take any questions. Thank you to Tamara Edwards, certainly your finance director, who worked with the legal counsel on the fixed asset policy.
Any questions from the board members?
Yes.
Go ahead, Paul.
So, Mr. Roundtree, do we have any asset right now that meets the condition, or this is a proposed asset accumulation down the road?
We do, and my apologies for not mentioning that. That's a great question. Basically, we've had to acquire a couple of computers for folks who are working directly for the agency, and so those would qualify as being listed on your fixed asset list at this point.
Any other questions?
Yes, if I may piggyback on that, I was thinking that when the Tracy station, or not, what do you call it, where we're going to be doing these servicings and stuff like that will come up, do we have to make another inquiries then about what kind of access? Those are more than 5,000. Those would be in the projection of several thousands. Do you have to come back then?
Yeah, I think with as we go along, and I think Michael Connor will probably talk a little bit more about this as
Can't hear you.
Us becoming the FTA grantee, but certainly there'll be continued policy development for that nature of a fixed asset for structure and buildings and so on.
Michael, do you have any other comments? Michael Cameron, our legal. Sorry.
No, I just say that I'll be speaking in a moment about, the more general topic of FTA policies. But I mean, clearly, an agency providing money to our agency is going to want to make sure that those assets are preserved. And so this policy is the first step to making sure we have a program ready to be able to do that, that our accounts are set up in a way that tracks things. And so we'll be ready should we be so lucky as to receive substantial federal funds or just funds from other agencies, that we have an administrative mechanism to keep track of those.
Thank you, Michael. Paul, is that it, or do you have any other questions?
That answers the question. Thank you.
Perfect. With that, I will open for public comment. Is any members of the public that has any questions on this item?
I have no members of the public with their hand up.
Thank you, Candace. With that being said, I'll bring it back to the board for an action item.
I move we approve.
Second.
Nomination by Mayor Cantu, second by Stepper. Roll call, please.
Injo?
Yes, ma'am.
Cantu?
Yes.
Hobart?
Yes.
Hernandez?
Yes.
Hudson?
Yes.
Kick? Kick?
She needs to unmute.
Yes.
Got it. King Tingle?
Yes.
McPartland?
John, you need to unmute.
Neeram?
Yes.
Rickman?
Yes.
Stepper?
Yes.
Vargas?
Yes.
Warner?
Yes.
Zuba?
Yes.
McPartland?
John.
I'm still muted.
John McFarland, can you unmute yourself? There you
Yes.
are. Thank you, John.
Thank you. Okay, motion passes.
Thank you, Candace.
Technically
Well-
impaired. Sorry.
It's all the new look. We'll move to agenda item number 8, 2021 strategy priorities, Valley Link advocacy. This is an action item. We're introducing a couple things here. Obviously, this project is evolving quickly, and the state and federal and regional levels. This plan will provide the need of guardrailing for the executive director as he works with the chair and the vice chair to take advantage of opportunities that arise. Many of these opportunities no doubt that there are very short windows of opportunities that we have, and we need to be able to be flexible in this uncertainty when it comes to figuring out how to create resources and advance our project forward. Like I said before, not to be Johnny on the spot, but it's a little bit of a cakewalk. When the music stops, we want to be sure that we are in the winning spot. So with that said, Michael, I pass it on to you for your staff report, and we'll go from there.
All right. Well, so this is a discussion on your strategic priorities and also your advocacy efforts. And I think Chair Vargas had a really good analogy. She basically said we're setting up the guardrails so that as we move forward, the executive director and the chair and the vice chair can be very active in advocacy and kind of stay within the guardrails that the board has set, but have the ability to move around and get things done. And I think it goes without saying that COVID and the pandemic certainly have changed the atmosphere and the priorities. We've certainly seen a shift of priorities of public health and equity and the economy from both the state and the federal lawmakers. And that's had big effects. I mean, Chair Haggerty there at MTC created the Blue Ribbon Task Force to set up opportunity moving forward to both recover from the economic situation, but also to look at things like public health on public transit and equity. And funding is starting to align in those directions. And so we want to pivot, we want to take advantage. I think as we move forward, it's obvious there's lots of opportunity. We've got the vaccines now on the scene where perhaps we're turning a page with the pandemic. And we've also got a new administration back in Washington and lawmakers who are anxious to help the economy. You've seen that with stimulus bills, relief bills that have been passed. And we're also hearing about it as potential stimulus infrastructure funding coming down the pike. And so we've been working really hard behind the scenes to make sure that we're in a good position with that and that our messaging is consistent with that. And so this strategic planning that we've done in this agenda item, basically we have set it up in your appendix as identifying the goals of the agency and then also strategy that accompanies that goal. And so what's missing and what gets filled in as we move forward and what will work, what the chair and the vice chair and the executive director and staff will work on are the tactics. And so moving forward, we'll come back to you and talk about tactics, but we thought today we would introduce goals and strategy to get your input and your direction on. And again, this sets up the guardrails so that we can really keep working and keep the pace. So instead of going through some lengthy slides that I've prepared, if you just turn to the attachment 1 within your staff report, maybe we just spend a few minutes talking about the goals and the strategy. Your first goal is to improve connectivity within the mega region, connecting housing, jobs, well, connecting people with housing and jobs. That's been your soundbite from day one, and it resonates. Important to that has been expanding partnerships and collaboration. That's how you gain momentum with the project and you create opportunity. It's with these partnerships. I can think of just a few, and then I'll move on to goal number 2. Your San Joaquin Regional Rail Commission. We have worked during Faster Bay Area, a 9-county transportation sales tax measure that unfortunately was shelved due to COVID or paused. But we were huge partners with San Joaquin Regional Rail Commission in those efforts. And you have brought them on as your presumed operator. That partnership has had big dividends with the California High-Speed Rail Authority. Other partnerships that you've had have been with CalSTA. You're part of their state rail plan, and you are very important in connectivity within the state rail plan. And quite frankly, your partnerships with cities. I envision that as we move forward with Valley Link, the cities are going to play an increasing role in the delivery of the Valley Link project. We're starting to talk with city management in each of the cities about opportunities to get the system up and running quickly and for them to have an increasing role in station area development and quite frankly, the financing of the stations. So expanding partnerships and collaboration, a really important strategy for that goal. The second goal, establishing rail connectivity between BART and ACE commuter services. Really the strategy here is let's get the connectivity in place. We need to look for transportation funding. You'll see it with the pandemic opportunities that will surface in Washington, D.C., as well as at the state level. You'll see it in Faster Bay area, which we hope will resurface when the time's right for local participation in the project. And you'll see it as well in Sacramento, especially as it pertains probably to the environmental aspect of the project. So again, the goal, establish the connectivity. The strategy is let's make it happen. That connectivity is important. And so looking for opportunities with increased opportunities with transportation funding. Your third goal is pursuing your project implementation that's fast, cost-effective, and responsive. You see that in AB 758, as that will be to the legislature with amendments that will give you more tools in your tool bag to keep this project moving forward quickly, such as design build. You also see it, the results of not being fast and cost effective. We've mentioned it before, but every year this project is delayed based on inflation. It costs the taxpayers $60 million. So that's a big number. And so we want to ensure that we're doing everything we can to be innovative and fast with our delivery on the project. Finally, we've got two additional goals here in our strategies, two additional goals that we have strategies for. We certainly want to be a model of sustainability in the design, construction, and operation of the system. And the strategy obviously is to optimize the GHG reduction and look for equitable access and transit-oriented development. Those are all incredibly important. As you think about the Biden administration and what's important to them, certainly the environment, climate change, one of the top two priorities. And then you also see equity as a big soundbite these days, both at the local, regional, state, and federal level. And so this project is a perfect example of a project with great results, cost benefit wise and GHG reduction wise and equity wise. It's bringing jobs to some of the most disadvantaged communities in the state. And that is an important element of your project and one that really allows you to stand out and make a bold statement and have action rally around that. Finally, the last goal is to support the vision of the California State Rail Plan and the connections in the Northern California mega region that are so important to the State Rail Plan. You're in the State Rail Plan. They will be updating that State Rail Plan in the near future. So important in the strategy is to talk about that integration, the importance of the integration and maintain your position in the State Rail Plan in importance and even advance the importance of the project. And then you had a great example yesterday of the California High-Speed Rail Business Plan, including Valley Link. So those are the goals. Those are the strategies that staff has created with some bullet points there to explain the strategy. And so we look forward, moving forward, to bringing back to you tactics and in working with the chair and the vice chair within the parameters that you set with your goal and strategy making to be aggressive with the tactics and to move the project. So that concludes the staff report. I will say that just a Herculean thanks to one of your top strategic staff members on this project. She's been with us since day one and her fingerprints are on everything we do, and that's Mary Ann Payne. So with that, I'll conclude the staff report and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Michael. And it looks like we have at least 3 hands up. I saw Director Hudson first, Akinjo second, and Karen, you're third.
Yeah, Michael, what caught my attention right away is the next to last goal: optimize GHG reduction, equitable access, and transit-oriented development. I mean, I'd be willing to bet if you were sitting talking to the Biden administration, they go, "Oh, good, you hit all 3. What the heck are you saying?" The 4 bullets are pretty good, except I see one thing missing that is the #1 tool in the box for reduction of climate change, and there's not a mention of, and that's vehicle mile travel reduction. And I don't know how you can fit it in or whether you want to do it, but to me, if you want to do transit-oriented development, I've flopped from I never want to see it to how many can you build, but you got to be near the jobs, or you have to be right in the BART station, or you want to go over to my golf course and 3 miles away from a job and put up a bunch of condominiums. I may break every law there is to stop you, but the reality is we probably should mention VMT reduction as part of our strategy in that goal.
Good point. Akincho, and then Stepper. Paul?
Yes, ma'am. Just in line with what David just said, I was just thinking, do we have anybody speaking on our behalf? Is it too early? Do we have anybody in DC speaking to these issues on the second to the last goal, like David said? If it is important for the administration, I think we should have an active participant relaying our message and our intention and our progress to the new administration.
Michael?
Yes.
Would you like to answer that?
Yeah, it's a great question, Director Akinjo. Up till now at the federal level with Congressman Swalwell, Harder, and McNerney, it's really been staff communicating these goals and these strategies, and in fact introducing funding requests that allow them to look for opportunity on the project. But I would expect, and you currently have it in your budget, that the board will look for opportunities probably to have some representation as well in the advocacy, a lobbyist that can further advocate on behalf of the project in Washington and in Sacramento. But up till now, it's been basically staff working with the staff of the lawmakers and the lawmakers themselves.
And it's a reason of that, Paul, we have a very limited budget. So we have constrictions, but so far, I had to say our staff members been doing great. Look at our bank account, right? So, but I hear you. If we could, it's something that, we want to look at later on as a lobbyist, we could probably entertain that conversation. Maybe Michael and I, we can speak offline and bring something back to the board if the board desires to do something like that. With that, I'll move it to Karen Stepper, and then we're gonna go back to now Brittany Kicker,
Okay.
and then Hudson again.
Thank you very much. I'm looking at the fourth goal, I believe, and it's the third bullet point or second bullet point. It says reduce emissions, including a zero emission vehicle fleet. I thought we were having, because of the steepness of the Altamont Pass, we were not going completely to zero emission vehicles fleet, that it was a hybrid.
Michael?
Yeah, so we are looking at various technologies, including 2 zero emission technologies. One of them that's in your EIR, and one of them that we're just seeing how the technology itself actually.
I'm having trouble hearing, Michael.
Is everybody else having a hard time hearing me?
Now I can hear
No,
you
it's good.
fine.
Okay, sorry about that. So one of the alternatives certainly that we're looking at in the EIR is a zero emission alternative. It includes catenary line in the Altamont. And so the vehicles themselves would be battery electric, where in the San Joaquin Valley and on the 580 section, the trains would operate battery power. And in the Altamont, they would connect with the catenary and both recharge the battery and provide power for the train to go up and over the Altamont. So we are looking at zero emission technology with the project. We've also been keeping our eye on the ever evolving hydrogen technology. And so certainly we're aware of that.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much for that clarification.
Awesome. Thank you, Karen, for the question. Director Kicker. Did I say that right, Brittany?
Just kick.
Kick.
Yeah.
Okay, there you go.
I was in talking about getting information to Washington. I think maybe it would be potentially valuable, maybe not in Washington, maybe this is not where they're going to focus, but communicating directly with the Cal Cities policy board that focuses on transportation, because they're putting together their policy packages right now. That was not my original comment, though. My original comment was if we can actively seek to look for funding sources that might interact with active transportation. That is another area that is getting increased funding. And so if we, say that at our stations, we will have connections to bike paths and bike parking, we might find some additional funding sources there. And I think it would fit well with the sustainability of design, and equitable access and all of that other stuff. So if that can be strategically linked, I think that would be a good idea.
Excellent point. Thank you so much for your comment. David Hudson, Director Hudson.
Yeah, if I can go back to Michael for a minute, one of the things that we did back in 2018, the Peninsula Corridor was trying to get their final billion or two. And it was amazing to me that at the APTA conference in DC, the only line that was recommended to the entire APTA conference was the Peninsula Corridor, because it just moved up the ladder in the highest priority. When there's only so much, there's only so much you're going to get. So if we're sending something back to that advocacy to begin with, and then some of us get up and speak, which I did as the chair of the Air District, we supported it with a letter. So as many letters as you can get count. You'd be surprised how fast it can happen. Of course, we were probably further along. I think the contract was ready to be submitted in May, or was finalized in May. But there's a new sheriff in town in transportation, and who knows? I mean, it may be worth it if we go into DOT and talk to a secretary or director or whatever. And to me, that's what it's taken over the years, Michael. So, if we're back there for a different conference, I think it's September this year they're redoing it. They've changed everything so much. I think first come, first serve. Let's get in there and pitch the cause.
Amen to that. Hear, hear, I said.
Oh, and I forgot there is something on the, what the heck is it? ABAG administration, MCC administration agenda for Friday morning about the intermodals. And I think they're going to start playing a bigger role for people that are looking to do things like park TNCs and bikes and car sharing and charging. And so if you want to tune in and listen, you might learn something on that one. Probably around 9:40, which means 10:40.
That's a good one. And I think that, to Director Hudson's point, yes, and it looks like they're moving that direction. Intermodal stations, TODs, all that is where the federal and state governments are moving forward. Emission, green gas houses, and all those, checking those boxes is very important to qualify for grants. And I know that this board actively has been working on those things. I know that for Michael, that's a point well taken. I don't want to speak for you, Michael, but I know that we've been focusing on that to make sure that we're prepared each city that we go along the line to make sure that we have our partners and making sure the land uses are compatible, that we have the support of each community when it comes to transit-oriented development with other agencies like BART and ACE to coordinate intermodal stations. And we've been lucky because ACE has been an unbelievable partner, as well as BART. We're working together very well to make sure that those things that are important to the state, to the federal government, are being named and demonstrated in our reports. Michael, I don't know if you have anything else to add to that. And then I will move to Director Kathy Nurim, that she's been having her hand up.
Yeah, I don't have anything to add other than there's lots of opportunity there and well-received comments that we made.
All right, Director Nurin.
Thank you. Michael, the Tri-Valley cities have a legislative platform. And in reading through this, which I think is really good, quite frankly, I just was wondering if this has been shared with the cities to see if there's collaboration, overlap, things maybe the cities can pick up in their platform. Speaking for Pleasanton, we have our own legislative framework as well. And we have a specific focus area that says support Valley Links, period. And so, there's some things there, there's overlap and things I think that we should be taking advantage of. In collaboration with the cities, like you mentioned earlier, we want to help. This is important to us. And so I think whatever we can do there is fine. This Tri-Valley cities have hired Townsend and Associates to be a lobbyist, and the city of Pleasanton has also a separate contract. And it would seem like if we were going to do that and have advocacy, that would be the logical place, because they're already in there advocating for some of these things already. And I would think the more of us band together, that hopefully lower cost it would be per agency or whatever. So some things to consider, I think. But I do think that it would be helpful to run this through the Tri-Valley cities if you haven't done so already. And if there's a group for San Joaquin cities, I mean, it would make sense there. I just am not familiar with that side of the hill.
We do, Kathy. We have the San Joaquin partnership, and of course our county of supervisors and San Joaquin County COG as well, which is your ACVAC. So I guess, we're gonna have to, this is our first meeting, we're gonna have to put our tennis shoes and start circling around all those agencies again. So point well taken. I know that in Tracy, our former mayor and our now county supervisor Rickman, we had it on our strategic plan as a city, and this new setting council has also adopted Valley Link as a priority initiative. We have this as a priority project for our community. And I encourage all of the cities that are involved in this project to do the same if they can pass policies to make this a priority, and maybe combine all our efforts together when we lobby on the state and the federal government. So good comments. Thank you so much. I'll bring it back to Michael for a moment, and then I will open it up to public comment.
Yeah, I think they're great comments, great next steps. Director Hudson, this certainly won't be the last time you see it. It'll be something regular on your agenda. So staff will go back and we'll incorporate VMT reduction into that specific goal that you identified. I think that's a fantastic comment and recommendation. So I'm glad for the discussion. It's been really fruitful.
Perfect. Well, I will open now to members of the public to see if they have any comments out there. Do we have any members of the public that have questions?
We do not have any members of the public with their hands raised.
Thank you, Candace. I'll bring it back to the board for the board's action.
I'll move that we adopt it with the potential that you'll look at that one change for the item that I brought up.
For lobbying?
Yes.
Yes, second.
Reading on it, advocacy action.
Yes, second.
Okay, roll call, please.
Marianne Payne has her hand up.
Oh, yes. Thank you, Marianne. I didn't see your hand up. Go ahead, Marianne. You have to unmute yourself.
I just wanted to make a suggestion under the strategy, optimize GHG reduction, equitable access, and station area plans, that it could readily be amended to say optimize VMT/GHD reduction. Just a suggestion.
Marianne, I'm fine with that. I keep thinking I forgot something else that somebody brought up, but I just have my own little policy where I don't change things on Tuesday night because you make the worst camel in the world. And I think if I just turn it back in Michael's, little world that he can figure it out with the suggestion you just made, I'm fine with it.
So a friendly amendment to the motion. The seconder of the motion, Paul, do you accept the friendly amendment?
Yeah, that's even makes it better.
All right. With that being said, could we please get to a roll call?
Pinto,
Yes, ma'am.
Cantu,
I don't see Ben.
He's there.
Yes.
Yeah.
I
Thank
was
you.
muted.
Hobart,
Yes.
Hernandez,
Yes.
Hudson,
Yes.
Kick,
Yes.
King Tingle,
Yes.
McPartland,
Yes.
Naram,
Yes.
Rickman,
Yes.
Stepper,
Yes.
Vargas,
Yes.
Warner,
Yes.
Zuba.
Yes.
Motion passes with the amendment.
Thank you, Candace. Well, moving right along to agenda item number 9, the status reports on efforts of quality to qualify Valley Link as a federal grant recipient. This is an informational item. Michael.
I think that's this, Michael, for this item. Good afternoon, everyone. As you know, Michael Tree and others in the staff have been meeting regularly with representatives of the Federal Transit Administration, which is the agency that controls the disposition of federal funds for transportation transit projects in this region. We're in Region 9, which is the Western United States and Hawaii. In order to qualify to receive that money, and as we mentioned, we're all very hopeful with the congressional support we see and with the change in administration and having a president who's a former rail commuter, that there will be additional money available for projects such as ours. We need to put ourselves in a position to be able to accept that money. And this is kind of where we get into the weeds, but the federal government generally doesn't give you any money without a lot of strings attached to it. And a lot of those are for pretty good reasons. And regardless, if you want to get their money, we certainly need to comply with them. My office has been working with these for many, many decades. And so we're in the process working with staff, Olga Perez and David Katrowski to put together a set of these policies so that if we should be so lucky as to have federal funds available, we'll be able to, there's this checklist that they require, they call it the certifications and assurances. And it's about 18 items. Behind that are about 30 pages of text of all these different things that you need to comply with. Luckily, it's in terms of adopting policies, and that's really the purpose of this, is to just give you a heads up that over the next couple months, you're going to be asked to adopt a series of policies in order to further the goals that the federal government would want you to further in order to receive their money, and so that you'll know what's coming. I'll give you just a quick preview. You've actually, the next item, which is on Title VI of the Civil Rights Act, is one of the more important ones, and we're getting a head start on that. But these rules are things like federal control, financial controls. So wanting to make sure we don't have conflicts of interest. We have audit procedures set up. We have a procurement policy, which actually the procurement policy we adopted when we first started this agency was written with the receipt of federal funds in mind. The categories and amounts are set to track the federal requirements. There's statutory compliance, things like civil rights, Americans with Disabilities Act, Uniform Property Acquisition Law, Buy America Congress is very insistent that American steel be used in many of the things that we would buy, rail cars and rail. So we need to comply with that. And Michael already mentioned the National Environmental Policy Act, NEPA. So we have to show not only that environmental law, but the whole host of that go with it. And there also, just another general category would be safety. We have to have a safety plan. We need to have a program for drug and alcohol testing once we have safety employees that would, in the future operate equipment. Also things like cybersecurity and just training programs. So when we qualify to be a federal grantee, we need to not only have these in place, but there's a process called the triennial review where they come through every 3 years and check up on you and make sure that you have in place what you said and that you're following those procedures in your operations. And it's all, I think, a good thing because it's making sure that we're spending the federal funds that we do receive responsibly. It sounds like a lot, but it's something that a lot of agencies like LABTA do all the time. So we're just getting those things set up. So you're going to be asked to approve a number of things over time, and hopefully we'll be ready with all those boxes checked so that should money come through, we'll be in a position to accept it because you have to check all those boxes in order to be able to receive the funds. So happy to answer any questions.
Any questions from the board members? I see none. We'll go to public comments. Is any members of the public that wish to address this item?
No one with a hand up.
Thank you, Candace. I'll bring it back to the board for
Informational.
I'll set the information. Thank you, Michael. I'll set the information and we'll move to item 10, Title 6, the policy statement action. This is an action item. And this is, again, not to be repeated what Michael just hinted. This is a policy statement and it's the first step in moving us towards funding readiness on the federal level. I am truly, truly happy that we are making this commitment and be ready to accept those dollars. The worst thing we can do is just somebody want us to give us money and us not being able to have the mechanisms to accept those funding. So I'll open it up for a staff report and discussion of the board members.
Great. So I'm excited about this policy consideration by the board in this agenda item. You see the recommended policy. The Tri-Valley San Joaquin Valley Regional Rail Authority is committed to ensuring that no person is excluded from participation in nor denied the benefits of its program, activities, and services on the basis of race, color, national origin, age, sex, or disability as afforded by the Title VI of the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and related statutes. So that's the policy that we'd like the board to consider this afternoon. Again, we're paying attention to what's taking place in our country and throughout the world. Pete Buttigieg, who was recently put in as your Secretary of the U.S. Department of Transportation. Let me read to you just a simple quote that he gave the American public. He said, the Department of Transportation will break new ground in ensuring that our economy recovers and rebuilds, in rising to the climate challenge, and in making sure transportation is an engine for equity in this country. And so to build upon what Michael Conneran has talked about in regard to our application for FTA grantee status, this is certainly one of those building blocks. We'll bring back additional policy to you for discussion and consideration in regard to the Title VI program at Valley Link. But in communicating with our congressman and with the administration about the importance of Valley Link, it would be unquestionably more beneficial to provide assurance that the Valley Link Board takes social equity seriously and has an approved policy that it has worked through and approved. So again, this is just one of those policies, I think, that begin to allow you to stand out. As mentioned earlier, this train is all about social equity. It's about bringing jobs to severely disadvantaged communities. It's about health. It's about the economy. It's about poverty, inequity, healthcare, educational opportunities. I mean, that defines the Valley Link project. So would recommend from staff that you consider and approve this policy today, and would be happy to answer any questions you have.
Veronica Vargas, our chair, had to step away for a minute. Just listening to what Michael Tree had said, does any of our board members have any questions? Director Hudson.
Yeah, personally, Michael, if we don't do this, we're out of our freaking mind and wasting our time back in DC. The thing that I want to, that caught my attention is under the background discussion, it talks about disadvantaged communities. And clearly they get a lot of play. But the thing that gets lost in this is the Air District has care areas also. And the one area that everybody misses, and I'm glad Scott's here to take credit for it, because his harping over the years has put 580 in what is called an episodic zone. So we are the stretch of a disadvantaged community through air quality. And it probably should be added somewhere in there. I'm not sure what the wording would be. I had some names that you could probably call on it. We talked before, but we are considered poor air, and it is defined as an episodic zone. We should, I mean, you got to get all the bullets you could throw in the gun before you go back. Well, I guess that's a bad analogy, but I mean, you got to go back armed for, you're in competition. And I would say throw it in there, but don't wait another second to pass this thing, or I don't want them to find out we didn't have it in there.
Thank you, Director Hudson. Director Kick.
One of the things that's missing from this, and I don't know if it's because you're directing it related specifically to Title VI, but sexual orientation is not in here, which is also another community that is at higher risk of health disparity, which would be maybe a good word to throw in when you're talking about air quality. So if we could include sexual orientation in there, the queer community is at higher risk for all of the things listed in here as a reason that we do that. So if that's possible, I would like to see that.
Michael?
Yeah, Michael Conran, any thoughts on how we can incorporate that into this policy statement, or whether we should bring that back for the March discussion? I know that you're working on the Title VI policies for the March discussion for consideration, but
certainly.
Any guidance here?
Well, I think we could just add the words sexual orientation after perhaps sex on the policy statement. So, you know, race, color, national origin, age, sex, sexual orientation, or disability.
Okay. I would also encourage maybe to look at some policy. In general, it's suggested that we use that the term gender is used rather than sex. But, you know, please look at some other policy to compare and contrast to see if there's any legal difference between using the term sex or gender.
Sure. Yeah, this is just an initial statement. We will have a full Title VI policy to bring back to you. And so absolutely understand.
Perfect. Director Akincho.
Yes, I think Director Kicks is leading towards something. We have to be a bit careful now that we still have some. Washington is still not an easy place to navigate. So while Michael is going with this Title VI and all those things, he needs to really have a standard way of wording the situation. That way we don't want to offend anybody, and we don't want to leave anybody out. But it has to be crafted in a way that will be acceptable to the other people that are in Washington also. it's part of the thing. We need to really be careful how this thing, it takes only one senator, one or two to object. So let's look carefully and see how other policies are currently written. Maybe we can pattern our own policy in that area. Right, Michael? Yeah.
Point taken. Point taken.
Paul, I would say there's two things. One is we're modeling what the federal government requires. This agency is absolutely permitted, and I would encourage them to take whatever statement and broaden it. You know, the feds may not be quite where we are out here, and we certainly want to be leaders. So I think we can look at that and bring you back maybe an agency statement in addition to whatever the kind of boilerplate that the feds are requesting from us. So that would be my suggestion. I also wanted to note one thing. Last week was Rosa Parks' birthday. So this is a very timely thing to be acting on.
Paul, any other questions?
Leave that area to the professionals. I leave that to Michael and and Mr. Tree to figure that one out. Yes, but it's a nice idea. It's a nice thing to have in there, but the policy has to be reflective, not only of our region, of our area. We are trying to solicit money. And when it comes to money, then people start to picking all kind of stuff that they see. So that's the only concern I have. But I think Michael will do a good job in crafting it. So yeah.
I'm sure he will.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Director Akincio. And then Michael and Paul, you still have your hands out. You have any other question, Mr. Cameron, our legal? Nope. Okay. Excellent. Can we, yes, Director McFarland, go ahead.
I had to kind of break away and take a business call for my next meeting. As I listened to Michael Treat rattle all of this stuff off, and I'm ticking it off through my mind so many times that I've heard it, and I'm going, yeah, okay, we got them all. And then Brittany brought up transgender, and I'm going, wait a minute, maybe we didn't. And it probably goes without saying, but I've got to ask the question anyway, just for clarification, is that based on all of the prerequisites that the feds would potentially end up putting on us, have we got all of those bases covered?
Legal.
I think Marianne came up with this. I assume you got it from the current Title VI statement, correct? So I think we're just going to navigate between whatever the feds currently require, and then we'll talk about what we want. But I think Marianne wants to talk.
Go ahead, Marianne. Oh, you need to unmute yourself, Marianne.
I just wanted to add, yes, from the guidance, but many agencies go above and beyond and add what reflects their agency. And from a planner's perspective, not the legal, Michael, I would see no issue with adding it now as a strong statement, but nothing is limiting us.
Fair.
Yeah. Well, I guess, do we want to adjust this now or bring it back? I would suggest maybe we bring it back just to make sure we're inclusive and use the the language, the proper language. I do want to just take a look at the federal requirements because those are, I'm not sure theirs have moved along as quickly as some of us.
Good, thank you.
I would concur to put in the sexual orientation, gender, or whatever's going to make it palatable where there wouldn't be any problems. If we have the luxury of bringing it back to next month, yeah, that's what I would want, because otherwise it's all good.
All right, I hear that we're pulling this item for next month then. Do we? Let me bring it back to, let me open this for public comment. If it's not public comment, we'll bring it back to the board for further discussion or action. Any members from the public would like to address this item?
We have no one with a hand up.
Perfect. We'll bring it back to the board for a final discussion or action.
I'll make a motion to bring it back next month so we can do it well the first time.
I'll second that.
All right, I have a first and a motion and a second by Kick and Tingle, and we have two hands up, Director Hudson and Director Akincho.
Yeah, I have no problem taking it back for the final. But I believe we are telling staff that we do want to do this. That's part of the motion. Okay,
Correct.
I'm good.
Director Akincho.
Yes, same feelings here that, I don't think Michael was looking for an immediate action item today, was he?
Yes, he was.
He was? Okay, so it's nice to have the languages in there then. So we bring it back.
Yep.
Thank you.
All right. So roll call, please.
Wait, as a point of it, Paul is correct. The next step says that both of these items will be reviewed with the board at an upcoming meeting. So
yes, that's right.
I mean, it did expect it to come back. It's just that, at least that's what I read. It's just that we're making it clear we do want the policy statement. There's just going to be some additions.
Correct.
Yeah,
That's how
that's how I read it too, so.
Yeah, I think it was a building block policy, and I think some great comments have been made where we can improve the policy.
You can hear.
I agree with Michael.
Can't hear you, Michael.
I agree with Michael Connor, and let's bring it back. I think we wanted to get something approved today, but the bringing it back with what you want in it is more important, and making sure that lines up with the Title VI program.
Perfect. So we have a motion and a second to bring this item back. Can we have a roll call, please?
Andrew?
Yes, ma'am.
Cantu?
Yes.
Hobart?
Yes.
Hernandez?
Yes.
Hudson?
Aye.
Kick?
Yes.
King Tingle?
Aye.
McPartland?
Yes.
Naram?
Yes.
Rickman?
Yes.
Stepper?
Yes.
Vargas?
Yes.
Warner?
Yes.
Zubo?
Yes.
Okay, that passes.
Thank you. I wanted to apologize that I needed to step up for a minute, and thank you to my vice chair for covering for me. I am homeschooling and homework was, yes, I can see Director Kick is in the same situation. So thank you for allowing me to step up for a minute. With that being said, item 11, director's discussions, comments, questions on agenda requests. Anybody? I see one hand up from Director Hudson. Does anybody else has any requests, comments, questions for next meeting? Oh, yes, Mayor Warner, Director Warner.
Yes.
Oh,
and Hudson is gone. So Bob, it's all yours.
Okay, thank you. I thought that was a good discussion on the lobbying in Washington. And I noted, Director Naram suggested that we coordinate with the city. And I would ask Michael maybe to come back with a thought as to how we actually do it, because it strikes me that there are two things. One is we could pool our resources and then have a high-powered focused on Valley Link. And we can also have all of our separate lobbying efforts mentioning Valley Link as well. So I think it's both. But I wasn't clear what we were planning to do. And I think that there should be some more specific strategy as to how to do it. But I thought those were great suggestions. And I would think that perhaps on the next meeting or whenever is appropriate, we could actually have a plan as to what to do. So how do we pool our resources and individually as our various jurisdictions promote this? And to cover it both in both counties and how we do it. So I think it was a great idea. I just think I'd like to see the next steps more specific.
I will have to agree with you, sir. I think unifying our efforts will be the key. bring the both counties together. I'll certainly will look in connecting with our COG and with our county supervisors. I don't want to put him on the spot right now because I haven't talked to him yet, but I think from both sides, and continues our efforts with our representatives in Congress and in the Assembly from in the state. But I'll second that, and we'll task Michael to come back to us in the near future. I know that we have a couple items pressing right now, so I don't want to say next meeting, Michael, but as soon as possible, if you would like to bring that back, that would be great.
Sounds great.
And Director Hudson.
Yeah, I don't think you could say it any better than you just did. This is an opportunity. A lot of people have missed out over the last 12, 14 months or whatever of not going back to Washington, D.C. East Coast may have been able to pull off a couple things. And it isn't just the new administration. During the last change in administration, I was in Anthony Fox's office 48 hours before he left. And his main push was to introduce us to two people that were in that office, Butch Weiderlich and John Augustine. Unfortunately, or fortunately, when you know them, it kind of helps. Well, nobody's been talking to them for the last 12, 14 months. So if you get into DOT and you get the opportunity, I don't think you can do any better than to send 2 or 3 waves of people saying the same thing. No, we're behind Valley Link. Here's a letter from the Air District. We support Valley Link. Here's the 3 different COGs walking in there saying, no, we support Valley Link. As many times as you can say it, put it on their front burner, you're going to be ahead of the game. One of the persons that I was hoping that we could put it on the front burner went and retired and went to West Pennsylvania. So now I'm afraid West Pennsylvania might be moving ahead of us in Vincent Valdez. But we've got to learn these people, who they are, and really lobby them face to face. Letters, emails aren't going to get it if they don't know who you are. So this time when we go back, if it's September, it probably needs to be a fairly well coordinated attack. I keep using attack, guns, bullets, but you know what I mean. I mean, a concerted effort to get our point out.
Yes. Honey, Director Nurin.
Thank you. I want to thank Director Warner for putting together the action plan and trying to move it forward, because I think it's important. In the meantime, I'd like to ask if there are Assembly or Senate bills where cities that are lobbying and have Valley Link as a priority, if we could send those bills or those numbers out so that we can get them on our legislative list, which at least in Pleasanton we have, and generally, what the position of Valley Link is. For example, on I think it was AB 758, I think I heard you say that, support with amendment, and that would just be helpful to know as we add things like that to our list. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. All righty. Any further comments?
Yeah, Melissa did a great job as vice chair.
She sure did.
For those 2 minutes. Thank you, Director Hudson.
It was only 30 seconds, Melissa. It just seemed like 2 minutes.
But she quickly stepped up.
She sure did. She sure did. Thank you.
Good time.
All right. With that being said, next meeting will be on March 10th at 2 p.m. Send back channel, same group. And with that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion that we adjourn to March 10th at 2 p.m.
Second.
Third, no roll call.
Roll call, please.
Without objection.
Darn, Connor